The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we're the ones that have encouraged you all along to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because if it's happening on the Treasure Coast, of course you'll hear about it on the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. Maybe the only place you'll hear about it. Right now, the host is ready to go this week. Good morning, Sue Ellen Sanders.
Good morning, and we're happy to be here with you today. And today we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite two topics, and that's reading and children. And we have with us John Cesar, who is communications, is your title manager or?
Yeah, so it's
Yes.
community engagement coordinator.
Okay, community and engagement coordinator with the Children's Service Council of St. Lucie County. And he is the head honcho for Read St. Lucie, which is exactly what it professes to be. You know, it is the Children's Services Council's effort to unite the county and beyond in celebrating and engaging with books for children. And John, you've been on board there for 6 years?
Well, technically, so I was originally brought on in 2018, 2019, like the end of 2018, as the coordinator for the St. Lucie Reads initiative, and then I was brought on full staff in like 2019, 2020. So
Okay.
5 years in October officially.
Okay. And in doing this, you are, oops. I seem to have just pushed the wrong button. In doing this, you've been tasked with beginning the Read St. Lucie program and continuing it. And what's really marvelous about what you've done is getting books in the hands of children, more books in the hands of children who may have already had them, but also books in the hands of children who may not have had any books at home, and also engaging them to read. So how did you go about doing this? This was like a whole big, let's get a little bit of history. This was a large undertaking to get everybody to get books in their hands and to get them engaged in the books.
Yes, so I came on board 2019, but I believe the initiative was started couple years before me. And when I came on board, my job was to keep it going and fresh face and just to help coordinate everything, try to bring everyone together and on the table, see how we could support one another and just support literacy. And for us at the Children's Services Council, our biggest resource that we could provide are free books. Some kids don't, do not go to the local library, fortunately, or there's many reasons why. But so we're trying to create access to free books to them, bring the books to them. And for me, because I struggled reading growing up and didn't have a passion for reading, but I do have a passion and understanding the importance of reading. And my biggest passion and realization is, like as a little kid, I didn't get the opportunity to fall in love with reading. So when I started the coordinating of the efforts with everyone, my biggest focus is trying to provide every child the opportunity to fall in love with reading. And the biggest thing I thought we could do is provide them a book that they like and allowing them to pick. Before we were like handing out the books and saying, reading is important. And I thought we would get further along if we find out what the kids like and what they're into, what's trending, and then buying those books and then allowing them to pick those books. Like right now, Wimpy Kids, Diary of Wimpy Kids is super popular and a lot of the kids love them. So we try to have a lot of copies of those books because that's what they're reading right now. And we want to provide appropriate books, but also books that they are reading to encourage reading.
And it's amazing because I remember being part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, the tutoring program in the elementary school very many years ago. And I had one little boy who thought he didn't like to read because he was only being handed books at the librarian and his mom gave him. And when you got to know him, you found out that he loved books about sports. He loved sports. He loved everything about sports. And the minute you started handing him books, he was inspired to read. And he wanted to learn because he wanted that knowledge that he could get from books. And of course, reading isn't only about books. There's so many other ways that you read to succeed in life, from everything, but from reading messages on your phone to reading billboards to
Doing
reading
homework.
yeah, doing homework to and so not being able to read or not being able to read at a higher level can affect your science and your math and your history, because all of those things. What's it you told me one time, up until third grade you're learning to read, and after third grade you're reading to
You're
learn?
reading to learn. Yeah. So if you're not able to read by third grade, then you're already behind.
Mhm.
Because now, classes, they're teaching you, and if you don't know how to read, you'll be further behind, because now by third grade, you're doing activities to learn, not just learn to read, but to read to learn.
You're not gaining that knowledge along with everybody else.
Yeah.
And part of Read St. Lucie, it's not just you, and it's not just the Children's Services Council. You have a coalition behind you, people from the community that are all a part of helping communicate and get and hand out books, and communicate the importance of reading to the county. And they're made up of people from all different walks of life.
Yes, because we all could have a part to play. We have businesses that do book drives for us and donate books. We have, like you mentioned, the Big Brother and Big Sisters who do the reading tutoring. We have Learn to Read who focus on the adults and teens who are struggling to learn to read, or English is not their first language, so they have to learn English and then learn to read. So we have different organizations in that network that's doing their part, and we just come and bring everybody together and support them as we can.
You also mentioned at the beginning of the show, that not everybody um, goes to the library. And one of the things that you try to communicate too, you have a partnership with the St. Lucie Library System, and you try to communicate, because now the library is way beyond just being a place to check out books. And there's also, if you were somebody who on a regular basis, and I'm one of them, returned your books late, and so it ended up costing you every time you returned a book and borrowed a book. Now the libraries of St. Lucie County are dues free. So if
Yeah,
you're a day or a week, or you go on vacation and you forget to return it a month late, as long as you eventually return the book, um, you're good to go. And so it's great to communicate to people that you get them started by giving them the free books, but if they want to continue learning, or they see a certain kind of book they want, they have access, not just through physical books in the library, but through everything from audiobooks and books that they could read on their phone or on their tablet. So they have incredible access through the library. And of course, the library does a lot of other fun things too, and they have all different types of lessons. So your partnership with the library, helping to promote that, is invaluable to them. And before we move forward any further, if you are looking at the video of this, you might recognize the man here, John Cesar, because he has an alter ego. His alter ego is Bookman. And he is very famous in certain circles, in many circles, as Bookman, complete with tights and a cape. How
And the
how
matching
did
shoes.
Bookman, yes, I know. How did Bookman come to be?
So Bookman originated. So I actually was Bookman before the Cape because when I would do outreach events, I always, have a book little library at the table, always providing access to free books to the kids and their families. So people would call me, "Hey, Bookman," because they would have forgot my name. So
They would
that
always
name,
call you Bookman.
yeah. So, but I had to get ready for a trunk or treat, a community event, a trunk or treat event, and they want us to dress up and have a theme. So I was like, oh, I'll do like Bookman. So I worked hard on putting the design up, and my team helped me create the design and create the costume. And hours of research and finding the matching outfits, and then my team put it together for me. And um, at that trunk or treat event, it just exploded with just everyone seeing how cool it was. And now Bookman is invited to go to schools, do read alouds, and just he's requested a lot so much that we have a request page in our CSC page that you could request Bookman for.
Do you do birthday parties too? Yeah.
Uh, I've been asked that, and I said it has to be literacy related.
um, although I can picture a little kid's birthday party with Bookman, and then on their little treat bags as they leave, they're all getting books. And that's a cool idea too. Now you have two little boys of your own,
Yeah.
and I bet that they have had books from day one, or
Oh,
actually minus day one.
oh yes, because uh, my weakness is not being a reader. I wanted to give the kids something else. So my second grader, he's reading on like sixth grade level because he's been reading so long. And the youngest one, who's 3, he's like when we go on trips, he's in the backseat with a book open, like he's reading too because he's copying his brother and he wants to be a reader. So I don't have to work as hard with him because he's already see the value of reading and he wants to learn to read already. So I instilled that at an early late age by giving them books that they like. So like my little one, the 3-year-old, he loves baseball after we took him to a Mets game, a St. Lucie Mets game, and he loves baseball. So we gave him books about baseball and things, and he's opening it, looking at the pictures, and but because that was an interest, he was willing to, open it. So that's how we introduced the books to him, and then read aloud before they learn to read. Introduce them to words and building their vocabulary. So now they love books. We take them to the library regularly. They check out movies and books at the library. So they love the library trip on Saturday.
Yeah. And that's great. As a matter of fact, back in the day when I was growing up, my mom would take us to the library every Saturday morning, and we would all get our books, and then we'd spend Saturday afternoon sitting in bean bags, reading the first of our books. And it was a morning activity, and it was something that we grew up with, and so it was something that was important to all of us. And some people, like my husband for one, did not grow up with books in the house, with very few books in the house. And the first time I visited his family out of state, before I had kids, I was like, what's wrong? There's no magazines and there's no books everywhere. And yes, it creates a neater house, but I'm used to seeing books, and I can't imagine a life without books. Yet there are a lot of kids. I remember when Rotary was doing the dictionary project for a third grade, and so we would bring dictionaries, children's dictionaries, to the third graders in St. Lucie County through the schools. And there were so many kids that were so excited that they had a book to keep because they said they didn't own any books at all. So you have changed life for those kids. And how, I know you've done it in cooperation with businesses, local businesses too. And so I want to visit some of the best successful projects. But before we do, I want to talk about something that's coming up right around the corner. You mentioned the St. Lucie Mets, and they're working with Read St. Lucie to get the books out to kids. And you've got a big Mets promotion that's coming up right around the corner, where kids like your youngest who love baseball and love the Mets can get to see that baseball and get a book too.
Yes. So this is it's I would say it's an annual event that we partner with the St. Lucie Chamber and the St. Lucie Mets, where we call it Swing into Summer. Last year it was called Swing into Summer Reading, but it's going to be this Friday, May 24th. And with our sponsorship, every student K through 12th grade gets a free ticket to the game, and also one free ticket for adults as well. And I believe first responders and teachers in St. Lucie County also gets free in the game. And with our partnership, we're setting up a book giveaway at the stadium, so every kid be able to pick out a book. Last year, we were able to allow every kid to pick out 2 or 3 books, and we gave out over 3,000 books. But this year, it's going to be a little smaller. We did order some baseball books, so we have baseball themed books, and we're hoping to be able to give out at least 500 to 1,000 books this year. So that's one of the things that we do. And then at the end of the game, post game, the kids are able to run on the bases. So it's just a way of connecting fun with books.
It is, and it is so much fun for the kids to go out there. You know, when you're sitting in the stadium and you look at the baseball game in front of you and the diamond, it doesn't seem like it's that far, but even when you're a kid, if you get an opportunity to run those bases, it really makes them feel, first of all, they see how far away the bases are really from each other, but it makes them feel like the Mets are their team, that this is their stadium, that they're part of this. And that's very exciting. And like you said, then they connect books and fun activities. And that's so important to do. Whatever way you can find in to a kid's heart, to get them started on reading. You know, you get them addicted. This is the most positive addiction there is, I think.
Yeah.
Reading, maybe running and walking but running and walking doesn't change your life at the level that reading does. And being a good reader, having access to the books, and being excited about reading, changes people's lives. And it's not something that only people who can afford to buy books should have access to. Everybody should have access to the books. What are some of the other ways? I know another way in the last year, you had a program going with Scott Van Duzer and the Van Duzer Foundation, where you connected reading with pizza. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yes, Scott and his foundation with Big Apple's Pizza, they had reached out to us to help be one of the partners with his Reach to Succeed project, and it was actually a great project. So we had a book nights every night, and every school that signed up, 50% of the proceeds that night goes to school, so the school could get funding that most of the public schools need, and also every child be able to pick out a book, and then we help create reading logs. So and we created the reading logs based on ages. So the little kids, all they had to do is maybe draw a picture of what the story, and then the older kids may have to answer a couple questions about the book they read, and the older kids write a little longer. And once they read a book and complete the reading log, they could turn it in for a slice of pizza and a Coke, which Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Pepsi, I believe, was on one of the partners. So you get a free slice of pizza and a Pepsi each time they read a book and completed the form. And then the school with the most participation with the reading based on percentage, because we try to make it fair because some schools are bigger than others. So based on percentage of participation, got $10,000 from Scott and his foundation and partners. So it was
Wow.
great each night to see all the families come out, enjoy slice of pizza, just laugh, smiles, read books, and then they were able to keep the books too. So we helped donate a lot of the books with the St. Lucie School Board, who also donated books. So we helped, and then Bookman every night made a visit to both locations. It was the Fort Pierce location, uh, Big Apple's Pizza, and then the Bayshore location. So each night, the Bookman would drop by, take pictures, give out stickers, bookmarks,
Yes.
and then read a book here or there.
Do you have a plan for Bookman? Just as I'm thinking for your kids, you know, to have like maybe you could have like junior bookmen
Yeah,
running around
yeah,
maybe?
yeah. People shared a lot of ideas. We have like bookmarks, like little bookmarks and little things like that. So it's it'll come in the near future what that
Hmm.
would entail. Because Bookman is still pretty new. It's only been a year, um, so we're still working on it on
Has
other
it
things.
only been a year? My gosh, he's
Yeah,
really traveled a lot of places and covered a lot of miles for a year.
yes. I've had
Yes.
to replace the suit twice.
That's awesome. What are some of the other programs that you'd like to talk about with Read St. Lucie that, you know, people may not be aware that the Children's Services Council and your program, Read St. Lucie, are involved in?
Oh, St. Lucie reads. We have our little library program where we put like little magazine racks in non-traditional places typically, because like schools and things have books and have libraries, so we put them in non-traditional places like doctor offices,
Mhm.
barbershop, even churches that want one, and we do book drives and book donations and then fill them up with new books when we first start, and we put them in non-traditional places to try to create access so a kid could go to the laundromat or go to the barbershop or go to the doctor's office and there's books there instead of them sitting on the phone or just sitting there. There's book right there, and we encourage the location to let the kids pick out the book and keep the book. They don't have to worry about returning them. They could just keep the book, and then we replenish those locations. Before COVID happened, COVID did change a lot of things. We did have over 50 to 60 little libraries in the community. Since COVID, we slowly have brought reactivated some locations, but
Mm.
we're refill them as requested. But so if you go on our website, there's a page where if a business or a place of worship wants one, or just anywhere wants one, you can request it, and it's free. We provide everything. It's just a way of creating access to books. So I
So
think
you
that's a new.
can go on the Children's Services Council website and request a little library for a church or an organization outside there.
Yeah, you could go to the Children's Services website and then it could take you to the St. Lucie Reads website, or you could go directly to the St. Lucie Reads website and there's a little library page and you can request a little library.
So if people request a little library to put out there, who puts the books in it? Is it a combination of you and them? I
We do.
mean, okay.
It's us. We have a couple of locations that they've managed it on their own. They do their book drives and manage it on their own, but it's our little library, so we help keep it filled as needed.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I know there's a lot of great places now to be able to buy books in bulk too for businesses that are looking to donate, and you have your resources as well to get books, especially like on a specific subject like baseball when you're partnering with the St. Lucie Mets. So on back to the St. Lucie Mets game on May 24th. So all of the kids that are in the schools will automatically get the tickets, or do they have to ask for them?
No, they come to the game and we'll have a booth at the gate, and so they just come to the game and we give them the free ticket.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So they just come to the game and they get free entry along with one adult and their family.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, you know, if you've got 5 kids who are in the St. Lucie school system, they can all get in too. And then
Yeah.
the first responders also have free entry as well. And is this it's the back to school one is the one that the teachers get free entry to, right?
Yes, but I believe we're partnering to allow the teachers also, I believe.
Okay.
But yes, there is a back to school one as well for specifically teachers.
Yes, but this is the one that includes books, so it's even
Yes.
better. And there are one of the things to remember, and why it's so important to have events like this that come up at the end of May, is the slide, the summer slide that takes place if kids aren't part of some type of learning program during the summer. And not everybody can afford, or not everybody has transportation to be part of some kind of camp or learning program. And honestly, if kids are just sitting home in front of the TV all summer long, then there is a slide where they will lose some of all the smarts that they got the year before in school. And so it's important to and I know that the teachers in the schools do a good job of communicating too, but it said that's part of what St. Lucie Reads does, and why you have events in May, to make sure you're getting books into the hands of children and creating programs where they're excited about reading on their own throughout the summer.
Yes, and the summer slide, like the Children's Services Council, the summer programs that we fund, we do require them to have academics in the summer. Try to make it fun academics, of course, because of the summer slide, to try to help alleviate that transition from summer to school. So we do require them to have academics, and as well in the summer we try to get books and distribute them to different community events. But most of the time, community events that during the summer kind of slow down, so we do distribute books to summer camps as well. So that's just another way of getting the books in the hands of the kids as well.
That's really important. And I know organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, they're really good about having academics involved and other learning activities too that help build character during the summer and all year round. But they make sure that the kids are learning and having fun, and sometimes not even realizing that they're learning because they're having so much fun.
Yeah.
What are some of the other programs you're involved with now?
Well, we do have another event coming up in the summer. It's June 15th, which is Father's Day weekend. I'm partnering with um, Be Greater Than Inc. It's an organization, a nonprofit in the community, and they're also partnering with the St. Lucie County and the Oxbow. And it's going to be like a summer type intro to summer type event. The details are still being finalized, but it's going to be June 15th. And at that, it's going to be in Fort Pierce and Juanita Avenue. And there's a trail back there at that park in Juanita and Fort Pierce. And the Oxbow will be there, and then we're going to partner. We're actually going to have a story walk in that trail. So we picked out a book, and we're going to have it printed out, and then it's going to have the trail is, I think, a little over a mile. So we're going to spread that book across that trail, so the kids, as they do their walk in the trail, they can read the story, and then we're going to have little treasure hunts, like different items too, while they're doing their walk. They could try to find and just try to make fun. It's going to be it's summer. It's for summer, so there's going to be fun and bounce houses and things like that. And then we're setting up a little book fair set up where we hope to distribute at least 1,000 books in that community specifically for the summer. So
Wow.
we're going to
Yeah.
set up tables and have about 1,000 books so the kids and families to come through and pick out a book so they could take home, so they can have at least 2 or 3 books for the summer that's theirs.
That's awesome. And, you know, I know that you've been part of the library programs too, where the kids can sign up at the beginning of the summer, and by reading books, they earn different prizes through the library programs too. And that's really important as well. Connecting with the community through reading is not always an easy thing to do. And when you have, if you have a parent who says to you, hey, my kid just doesn't like to read, what are some of the suggestions you give them?
I asked them, what have you tried? And just, I had those conversations. What have you tried? What have you not tried? What do they like? What are they reading? What did why did he or she say they don't like reading? Is it what they're reading? What are they into? Are they reading about those? Because it's not, especially when they're starting young. It's sometimes it's not that they don't like reading. They just most of the time haven't found something that they like. Um,
Mhm.
so trying to have those discussions about trying to find out, okay, what are they into? What are they interested in? What are they interested in learning about? Okay, maybe did they like food? Did they like they want to be a cook one day? Okay, let's find books about being a cook or menus and things like that. So trying to have those discussions, and then there's other resources you could direct them to, like the library who have other services, or um, like their school have tutoring and other resources. New Words Order Reading Initiative, that's another a resource that's free, that maybe that's something they could look to because they mail the books directly to their home. And they get, I think, at least one book a month mailed directly to their home. So there's other resources that you could refer them to, but the first thing is just having that discussion about that child and what their struggles are.
I know sometimes too that if a child is given a book that's not in their reading ability, instead of them, they don't really understand how to communicate to you that they can't read at that level. And so they may just think that they don't know how to read. And so that's why the schools do a whole lot of testing their reading ability, one-on-one with the teacher, to actually see where their reading level is, and what they can read. I can remember the year I taught fourth grade, sitting down one-on-one with each child and having them read out loud a part to me, just to make sure that they read it and that they understood it. And the kids don't always understand some types of books, or there's reading, there's kids who have dyslexia, or kids who have ADD and they just can't sit still to read. So there could be other things that are creating that not being able to read, but figuring out a way to get around it is really the community's job. How do you feel about audiobooks? I
I
mean, I know that there's a lot of people who go, oh, well, listening to an audiobook isn't really reading, but
But I love audiobooks for myself because I struggle reading, and with my busy schedule, I could, while I'm driving, I can listen to a book. Because at the end of the day, you're getting that knowledge and that information that's in the book, so you're learning, and then you're hearing the vocab. So you also opportunity to increase your vocabulary because you're hearing it. It's kind of like a read aloud for kids, which is important for them.
mhm.
So yes, they need to read, but audiobooks is a good start because they're listening to a story and it's exciting and there's voices. It's kind of like read aloud. They're made likely to, like, okay, I want to finish that book, or I want to get back into reading. So I like audiobooks as well.
And my husband does, well, I do too. I listen to audiobooks when I'm walking or when I'm running a lot of times instead of music. Because then if I'm doing that, then it gets me outside, and he uses them when he's like building stuff outside. He built a whole outdoor kitchen, and he went through a number of different books. And when I talk to people about audiobooks, a lot of times they say, well, I just can't afford them. And they don't realize that, again, not to be like library woman or anything like that, but the library has all of these audiobooks that you could request, that you could get on your phone for free or on your computer. And, sometimes with the more popular ones, you have to wait. But I know families who, summer is maybe a big time to travel in the car. And pick something that's fun for the whole family to listen to. Or if you have a child who's in middle school or high school and has required summer reading, pick one of those books. So, the whole family gets to listen to it, and you've crossed one thing off your child's to-do list for the summer, because you're listening to the book while you're on vacation, while you're going to vacation, and they're not saying as frequently, your kids aren't saying as frequently, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because they're involved in the book. So I'm a big fan of audiobooks as
One of
well.
the things that we have and provide too are the digital books. So we have a platform called Booksmart through the grade level reading campaign that we share with our families. Give me one second.
I see your
I
son
just
is
got
home.
home.
Yes.
Yeah, give me one
I'm glad
second.
he got home without getting wet.
Yeah, give me one second. Let me talk to him real quick.
So, what's exciting about reading is that it'll also take you places, for people. And I'm one of those kids who, our family never really went anywhere. We lived in Miami, so to get out of Florida alone took forever. So we never really traveled anywhere, and I didn't get to go to a lot of places, but I discovered a lot of places through reading. And I also discovered a lot of subjects through reading. And it's still a wonderful opportunity to go wherever you want through a book and do whatever, you lose yourself in a book. There's all sorts of, you know, kids can have book clubs too, but adults have book clubs. And that's a way to encourage people to read out of their usual pick of what they like to read. Uh, I know that, there are kids who carry a book with them wherever they go, whatever they do, wherever they go. Um, I remember seeing, I think it was an Academy Awards or something like that. It was like a big televised event, and the actor or actress was going with their family, and the kid had a book in his hand that he was carrying, with him, because he was going to like sit quietly and read his book. So there's times where kids or young adults get so excited about reading that they just can't wait to pick it up again, and then you got them.
Yeah,
You
that
really got them.
sounds like my oldest. Now I have to tell him to put the book down. It's time to go do something else. So
Yes.
time to eat now. So, but what I was saying is we have digital resources, digital book resource. It's called Booksmart, and it's through the National Grade Level Reading Campaign. They pay for it so we can provide it to our communities, and it's a digital book. It's specifically for age 3 to 12, but it's access to thousands of books because sometimes the kids are already on tablets and on a STEM
Right.
already. So that's another resource which is free. We have the link on our website, our St. Lucie Reads website. And then we also uh, shared it with our summer camps because they could use Booksmart during the summer to be able to do like book club clubs because it's all on digital, so every child can have access to the same book, so they could do a book club, and
Right.
the training is going to teach them other ways to use that resource.
That's awesome. So weigh in for me on, and you got the two young boys, and I had children who like to read too, but weigh in for me on parents dictating to their children and to other people's children what type of books they should and shouldn't read.
Touchy subject. So
I'm staying in a
touchy,
very broad sense of the word, so we don't.
well, as a parent, they have the right what their child reads,
Mhm.
not to necessarily have the right to what other kids read, because you're the parent of that child. So um, like I've had incidents at community events where the kid wants this specific book, but the parents like, no, this is not your grade level, or no, read this, and I encourage them like, no, here they can have both, because if they found interest in this book, you see the joy and excitement in their eyes and their face, but then that book was removed from them, and then you see their face change, their facial expression change, and it's like what you just took their joy from them, and then to give them another book, and that's where you lose that connection. So I usually encourage them, no, it's okay. They can take both, even though it may be above their grade level or under their grade level. But if that excites them, if that gets them, excited and want to read it, let them read it, even if it's under their grade level. At times, I tell the parents, it's okay, or the caregivers, it's okay for them to read under the grade level, because the more they practice, even the words are smaller, the better their confidence in reading is, and then they may go up another grade. Or if if it's too high, sometimes kids get discouraged because it's just too much. So if they want to read under their grade level, it's okay. But as parent or caregiver, they have the right for their child, not necessarily everyone else's child. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, and I agree too. I think it's important too that children of all ages and all cultures be able to see themselves as characters in books. I mean, I'm 67 years old, and my favorite type of books are still about people who live the type of life that I've lived over the years, that have things in common with me. I still find myself drawn to those types of books. And kids feel the same. I mean, kids, black and brown and Asian and girls and boys like to read about themselves a lot, or they like to read about what they perceive themselves as. And that's why I think it's really important to have a a, a choice of books where that are written by authors of all cultures and all backgrounds, so the kids can identify them, can see themselves in the book. Or conversely, maybe they don't want to be like that at all, but they enjoy reading about something that's going on in another country because they're interested in finding out more about it. A lot of kids, surprisingly, because I wasn't into nonfiction, but a lot of kids are into nonfiction, and they go down that tunnel of reading, like Alice in Wonderland, where they're becoming part of that world and they're excited to learn more about it. And then they read all the books that are about that subject, or and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when your child, like you said, the look of excitement on their face when they pick up a book that hits them in the right place, you just can't, you can't create that. They have to do it. They have to know what's special to them. The other thing that I've noticed with kids too is that sometimes kids have favorite books that are their kind of a security blanket for them. Like they want to hear the same story over and over again before they go to sleep because it's a comfort. And then, you know, there may be a book that gives them such happy memories from their childhood that they want to continue to read that book even as they're beyond that level. And that's okay too. You know, you don't want a child who's never pushing themselves to a higher level, but at the same time, it's kind of like a old teddy bear or a old blanket. You know, the books can be that too. And I know books like The Velveteen Rabbit and the different types of Captain Underpants. I mean, those kids relate to those kind of things. And I know teenagers who still talk about the adventures and how much those books were something that they loved going to the library and getting, or it was their favorite birthday or Christmas or Hanukkah present when they got a series. Um, and then also it gives you the ability to, like, you could jump off Captain Underpants and go to Nancy Drew and then go to, you know, well, people don't really read Nancy Drew anymore, do they? But what's the next step now of like the mystery book, the magic
The Magic Tree House.
Magic Treehouse. Although that's younger kids too. But there are series of books that are mysteries, and some kids really enjoy mysteries. A series my kids liked, even though it was old-fashioned even then, was the Boxcar Children. Are the Boxcar Children still kind of popular, or are those days gone?
No, I haven't seen too many of them. But we
Oh,
do try to
okay.
get diverse books and just try to um, get books. Sometimes with especially the younger ones, books that connects to a show that they've seen, like Here's George or Black Panther, or like you know, a show that has a book that has a TV show or a movie. Because they've probably most of the time they've seen the movie, they're more likely, oh, I know that character.
Mhm.
It's already the connection's already there, so they're more likely to pick up the book and learn more about the movie or anything like that. So
And that's really important too, to know how to make those connections. And we were talking a little bit about the learning that you get from reading too, and those kids who are reading nonfiction or even some other type of fiction that also teaches them how to make a pizza at the same time, or you know, how to build a birdhouse, or teaches them character lessons, you know, how to be a better person. There's so many different ways to you know, there's I have a friend who wrote a couple books that she wrote them in Spanish and in English. And the same book, you know, you just flipped it over and read it from the other side, and it was Spanish. And so then when that child was ready to read it in English, they could flip it over and read it from the other side. So there are lots of different types of books and different ways to get children excited about books. Just to go over one more time, so the St. Lucie Reads is through the Children's Services Council, so your website is a part of their website. You can find it through
oh
that.
yeah, you can go to the Children's Services website and there's a link to what St. Lucie Reads. And sometimes we it's all connected, so the website is connected. So sometimes we do have tabs on the Children's Services website for the St. Lucie Reads.
Okay, and then the events that you have coming up within the next month, well, the Mets game on May 24th, where you
Yes.
can just show up to the game and get free tickets. If you're a child and the parent of a child in the school system. And then also, you have June 15th, you said, was the other event that's still in the planning stages?
Yes, and we share those on our social media, mostly Facebook. So we post regularly when we have events and things like that. So that's where we
And
get the information.
And so you could go to St. Lucie Reads on Facebook or on
Children's Services Council. We don't have
Oh, it's
a
children's,
separate group. That's
okay,
too much work.
okay. You don't have your own Facebook?
No, because
No.
it's more of an initiative and it's more of a network bringing them together. So it's not its
Yeah.
own separate program.
I know. Give your sons a few more years and they can run it for you.
Yeah, he'll transition to bookman. My oldest.
Book guys, the book guys. So that's and you know, again, I'll mention that John Cesar, who is AKA Bookman, is available to come out to different, not to birthday parties yet, but to different community activities that, especially if they involve kids. And there you also have, is a Children's Services Council on their website have a list of the different little libraries in town?
Yes. It's the little libraries are on the St. Lucie Reads website, but there's a page of them.
Okay, so you can check there. So you can either check on the website or check on social media for Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County and get all the information you need. Do you need volunteers?
At times, but we have a collection of volunteers if I need them to stamp books or anything like that. I have a couple groups of retired, retired residents, because they have a lot more time. So we have volunteers.
Okay. John Cesar has been my guest today, and he is the Community and Engagement Manager for Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County. John, thank you so much for joining me. And I know you come from a long line of educators, and I'm glad that Bookman is continuing that long line. You've been listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. We're here every week with more. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
The Sue Ellen Sanders Show, weekend mornings at 7:05 a.m. on WPSL Port St. Lucie. It's one of the many reasons why we're the talk of the Treasure Coast.
John, I'm going to take a quick picture.